So good afternoon to all of you. So myself M. Soundararajan, Assistant Professor from Department of Agriculture Engineering at Sri Shanma College of Engineering and Technology. So in the part of urban Introduction to Urban Horticulture series, today we're going to see the new topic, that is vertical farming. So it's a important thing that is blooming nowadays. This session going to talk about the types and what is the what is the vertical farming and its types. Okay, so in this slide I given the definition for the vertical farming. You can see, so the vertical farming is a transformative approach to agriculture that flips the traditional farm on its side. So instead of using vast horizontal stretches of land as a traditional farming, so crops are grown in vertical staggered layers in a particular place, so often integrated into structures like skyscrapers, shipping containers, or proposed warehouses. I'm going to mark that in the pen. You can see skyscrapers, shipping containers, and warehouses are the some places you can do vertical farming. Okay, so in the vertical farming, crops will grown in multiple vertical layers. Then in the vertical farming, we going to grow the crops in a soilless medium. So that's why we often it is called as soilless cultivation. So we are here using the artificial lighting like LED lights for crops for their requirement. Then control temperature, humidity and nutrients are maintained in this vertical farming, not like in traditional farming we going to depend the climate and geography, but in vertical farming we going to create the controlled environment. Then in vertical farming less land and water one required, because of we're going to manage the land space and water for vertical farming. That is one of the benefit of vertical farming we can suggest. Okay, we can move to next slide. So in this slide I listed the types of vertical farming. The first one is the hydro, that is the four types of vertical farming is existed in current situation, that are the hydroponic, aquaponics and aeroponics, and final one is the soilless cultivation. So we're going to see each one in elaborate way. So the first one is the hydro. I hope that you understood the what is the vertical farming in previous slide. So in this slide you're going to deal with hydroponic vertical farming. So this is the most common type that is preferred by the all peoples. So plant, because of its characteristics, plants grows without soil in this system. So roots are placed in nutrient rich water solution. Going to mark in this marker, you can for your understanding. So we're going to grow the crops without the soil. We are supplying the nutrients in water to meet the requirement of the crop. Then water circulates through the pipes or trays. So it uses the method called hydroponics. So examples of crops that are grown in hydroponic vertical farming systems are lettuce, spinach, herbs and strawberries are recommended for grow in hydroponic vertical farming. Then the main advantage of this type system is we're going to use about 70 to 90 percentage of less water in hydroponic vertical farming. Then you can achieve the faster plant growth. So you can right side I give the picture for pictorial representation of the hydroponic vertical farming. You can see the how it works in this diagram. So here you can see the upper side, the medium is given, that is in the brown color, that gives the support to the plant to stay against the struggles by the wind, because wind give the force to the plant that makes the plant fall. So that's why we're giving the support to plant. So here the trays are given to support the plant. So here the reservoir that is rich in nutrients with water solution. So through these pipes, nutrients will supply to the plants through the individual channels from the reservoir. So air is given for aeration to the solution, that is driven by the air pump. So each drip line conveying the nutrient dissolution from the reservoir to each plant. So each plants having its own nutrient drip lines. So drip manifold is the point where the different narrow channels will separate from the main pipe. Okay, I hope you understood this concept, how it working in hydroponic vertical farming system. We can move to next slide. The second type is aerophonic vertical farming. In this system, plants are grown with their roots suspended in the air. I'm going to mark that in marker. So roots are sprayed with the nutrients mist. So in the air medium, we're going to supply the nutrients into small droplets that going to be absorbed by the roots of the plant that is suspended in the air. That requires very little water. So this system also, like hydroponics, requires very less amount of water. That is one of the benefit to use this system. Then high oxygen exposure helps foster growth. This method is known as the aeroponics. So it also boosts the growth like hydroponics. So in this system, we using less water than hydroponics. That is the one important thing that overlapping the hydroponic system in positive way. Then very efficient nutrient absorption is recorded in aeroponic system when compared with the other systems. Okay, so the difference between the hydroponics and aeroponics is that in the aeroponic system we're going to use the air medium with then in hydroponic system we're going to use the water where nutrients are supplied. In the aeroponic system we're going to supply the nutrients in the form of droplets in the air where roots are suspended can absorb the nutrients from the air medium. So you can see the right side, I given the pictorial representation for your understanding. That is here a big pipe pump, water pump is given in the bottom of the tank. Then from that the pump is sucking the water to pump to the channels where the channels waters are sprayed through the sprayer in the air. So where the where the nutrients dissolution converted into small droplets, that is the better formation roots can observe. Okay, I hope this you can understand how these pictures how the aeroponics working in this picture representation. Okay, we can move to next type. So in this type we're going to achieve two things. First one is the fish farming activity, then plant cultivation. So then the aquaponic vertical farming combines the fish farming and with plant cultivation. So we going to grow the fish on the separate tank, along with we're going to grow the plants. So you can see the step-by-step procedures how it working in this picture. So first we're going to feed the fishes, then it takes that food. After that is digested, it comes like excreta that is deposited under the bottom of the tank here. Then these waste will be filtered and it removes the pump removes the waste and it recycles the water that is suitable for the plant growth. Then it is applied to the plant growing tank where beneficial bacteria converts the ammonia and nitrates into the nitrates. Nitrates are the best form to produce the nitrogen for the plant growth. So plant can absorb the nitrogen from the nitrates. Then the fourth step is the plants remove the nitrates from the water. So then so the nitrates removed water is reached to a tank. So where clean water drains from the grow beds to the sump. Then the pump returns the clean water to fish tank. So these water comes to again the starting initial stage. So these cyclic process will take over again. So it will work as autonomous system. So the cyclic process will happen continuously. So this is the how working the aquaponics. So here the fish produce waste becomes the nutrients for the plants. So plant filter the water for fish. This integrated system will called as the aquaponics. Then here the advantages of the ecosystem is it's a natural ecosystem, not like the hydroponic and uh, aeroponics. So in that those vertical farming systems, we're going to make everything artificially for the plant. But here in the aquaponic ethical farming, we don't interrupt in this process. Then no chemical fertilizers are needed for these plant growing activities like hydroponics and aeroponics. So the plant nutrients will come from the another natural system, that is the fish farm. So then it produces the both fish and vegetables. This is the we can achieve the two things in this system, that is the fish farming and then plant cultivation. So it's the one of the benefit of the aquaponic vertical farming. Okay, I hope that you understood this type. Then we going to see the next one. The fourth one is the soil-based vertical farming. So plants grow in stacked containers filled with soil. So it's not like in previous vertical farming systems. So in the soil-based vertical system, we're going to use the soil for the work. Soil used as the medium for plant growing. Then less technology is required because we don't depend the AI and IoT tools in this system. Then often it is used in small indoor farms or small balconies because it requires very small spaces and it has been done in only small spaces. Then it cannot be done in large scale for industrial purposes. We can do it in our home. So then advantages of this system is there is only lower setup cost happening, then easier for beginners. So there is no technical persons need for doing this system or implementing this system. So here I listed the advantages of the vertical farming, that these are the common things we have seen before that. It saves the land and water consumption. Then here down production, so we can get the high yield compared with the traditional farming. So then can be built near the cities. It's mainly our subject focus on we are doing the horticulture practices in the urban areas. Okay, so we can do this system in the cities where less space is available. So the less pesticides also use, as well as we're going to use less chemical application and pesticides and fungicide like that. So we're going to use less chemical related things for the agriculture plant growing activities. Then next I listed the disadvantages of the vertical farming. Here the high setup and electricity cost will be taken for vertical farming activities because we're going to make everything in artificially. So every man-made things will depend the electricity. So high initial setup cost and electricity cost will be happen in the system. Then limited crops variety can be adapted for two systems. Not all crops will grown in the system. So then requires advanced technologies and expertise knowledge for implementing this vertical farming is expected. So these are the disadvantages and disadvantages of the vertical farming. So in this slide, I distinguished the vertical farming and traditional farming in different aspects that are the land use, water usage, and environment control, crop yield, location, pesticide usage, then energy use, initial cost of the system, then crop types and weather risk. So based on these aspects, I differentiated the vertical farming and traditional farming in this slide. So as we know that what is the vertical farming, that is we going to grow crops are grown in stacked layers indoor system using the controlled environments. But in the traditional farming, crops are grown in open field using the soil and natural conditions. So in the in the aspect of land use, we going to use the little amount of land for the vertical farming. So crops, because crops are grow vertically in the less amount of land. Then in traditional farming we reduce the large areas of the land for farming activities. Then water usage. So the water usage is very efficient in vertical farming. So as it uses 70 to 95 percentage of less water through the recycling system. But in contrast, the traditional farming uses large amount of water. Much of the water lost through the evaporation and runoff activities. So then that is one of the disadvantages in the traditional farming. Then in the aspect of environment control, in the vertical farming, temperature, humidity, light and nutrients are the fully controlled by the with help of AI and IoT tools. So these are one of the thing that we can recommend the vertical farming. But in the traditional farming we fully depends the natural climate and seasons for the environmental aspects. Then in the aspect of crop yield, so we can get the high yield per square meter in the vertical farming because crops grow year around. So in the traditional farming, yield is depend on the season and soil quality and weather. So these season and soil quality and weather factors will depend the yield of the crop in the traditional farming. So we can get or attain the high yield in the vertical farming than the traditional farming. So then the aspect of location, so usual urban buildings or warehouses used in the used in vertical farming for the as a place to the crop grow. Then in the traditional farming we mostly these activities occur in the rural agricultural lands. Then in the aspect of pesticides, we are going to use minimal or no pesticides because environment is fully controlled by the artificial systems, that is man-made. Then traditional farming, we often recur the pesticides and herbicides for the further growth support. Okay, so the next one is the energy use. So in the vertical farming we high energy consumption will take over because we're going to give everything in artificial way. If we are creating LED lighting effect, that also electricity consuming thing. Then the climate control done by the IoT and artificial intelligence, that are the electricity driven. So high energy consumption will be happen in the vertical farming. That is one of the disadvantages of the system. Then in the traditional farming, low energy use low energy is used, but higher natural resources used in the traditional farming. So in the initial cost of the vertical farming, it's very expensive to set up because all people can't afford this system. So then in the traditional farming is the needs the lower setup cost, but in the purchase of these other materials will be expensive in this traditional farming. Then in the aspect of crop types, so it's a vertical farming is best for limited crops that are like leafy greens and herbs and small vegetables is only suitable for vertical farming. So not all crops will be will not be grown in the vertical farming. So in traditional farming can grow almost all type of crops like vegetables and fruits, all things. There is no restriction for majority of the crops. But in the weather risk aspect, so no affected by not affect the crops are not affected by the weather in the vertical farming. It is because we're going to do this activity in the closed space. But in traditional farming we are highly affected by the drought and climate change and other climatical parameters. So these are the differences of the vertical farming and traditional farming. I explained it for you understanding about the this concept. Okay, that's why I differentiated the these two farming activities. Okay, we can move to next slide. Okay, we came to the end of the session. So I hope that you understood the today's concepts, that is a vertical farming and its types, and the differences between the vertical farming and the traditional farming. I come with new topic in the next session. Thank you.